So I'm Chris, I'm the CEO, I'm the founder of Geomoby. As you can hear, I'm not from Australia, I'm French. I've been here for about 6 years. So I'm Chris, I'm the CEO, I'm the founder of Geomoby. As you can hear, I'm not from Australia, I'm French. I've been here for about 6 years. Got my Australian citizenship last year. I've got a software engineering background, so I've been building websites and mobile applications for 10-15 years, e-commerce websites, pretty much everything around technology, and I'm very passionate about mobile phones. And last year, just the story with Geomoby, and last year I was working about 3 years for one of the top 5 IT consulting company, and decided to resign just to focus on that passion of that, building that cool tech and cool company. And so I resigned in February last year, got a baby in the same time, and started my own business. Just to make it very simple, to make my life simple.
Myself, I'm Zach Derber, 26 years old, and I've pretty much been working with technology programming all my life. I started out with BHP Billiton a few years ago, just as IT support, and I realised I wanted to build things with technology, not just be forever supporting or helping others. I joined INET when I came to Perth a few years ago as well, and it's progressed from strength to strength, from getting my first touch with some really small applications, and then Chris came along and we sort of just, I think I got a Gumtree advert that I looked at, and I gave him a call back and just saw how cool the technology was, and I wanted to be a part of that. So yeah, here we are.
It was during the Founder Institute, because the key as well for us, one of the key milestones we achieved is the graduation from the Founder Institute last year. It takes about 4 months. I'm not going to tell you what the Founder Institute is and how hard it can be, but yeah, it's through all the Founder Institute thing for 4 months. One of the assignments was to understand where you might be challenged with technical, not technical areas and skills, and I was looking for someone that can really help building that technology, because we're talking about real-time geolocation in mobile space. That's kind of new as well. So you need to deal with battery drain, accuracy issues, privacy concern, data storage, all kind of stuff. And then I'm quite lucky actually to be bumped into Zach at that stage.
When we started, well, Chris obviously had the idea many years ago when he first came to this country. He found it difficult to find, points of interest, toilets, all these sorts of things that you need to know when you're, a foreign national travelling here, trying to find stuff quite easily, and also monuments, things like that. So there was not any app that would help. So Chris has developed a smaller version of what eventually became Geomoby, just for people to download, use, and find out. And he thought, obviously with technology getting better and better, and your location details being now accessible by businesses, surely there's a way to tie that all together in some really nice framework. So instead of having to perpetually search and find all this data, maybe that info could come to you when it was relevant. And so that's kind of the starting, the precursor to the Geomoby technology, and leading up to last year, the start of last year is where it took off. Chris, for the Founders Institute, managed to get an MVP of the technology, the platform, up and running, and it was really once we started demoing it that we realised we had something here to go on. It wasn't just a cool idea, it had legs. And I joined around that time as well, and we've just been perfecting it. We expanded support to iOS, and we've now got Android fully covered with even more advanced features, and it's just gone from strength to strength.
That's very interesting, because we really tried to solve a problem. We tried to solve my problem at that stage. And when you start scratching the surface, you say, well, there's quite a big technical challenges around that. So can I just solve that problem myself? And so I studied Android because I was more competent, skilled using Android, and I talk a lot to developers and say, well, no, I don't know how to do that. Geofencing, real-time geofencing, I'm not quite sure how it works. When using a combination of GSM towers, triangulations, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, blah, blah, blah. And I've got no idea. And then through the Founder Institute, just trying to solve that problem, like and reaching the point where actually we can demo that, it works. That was all right. Now I think we're into something like good, something that developers want, something that can help businesses to increase their user engagement, something that can help mining industry, health and safety management, or health and safety industry, or tourism. Pretty much any type of business that want to create new interactions or provide a new service to their users in real time, without the pain to open the application. Respecting privacy and all this kind of stuff, and then through the Founder Institute we had a lot of validation for businesses, validation with developers, validation with mobile users, and yeah, I would say alright, Geomoby is now more than just an idea, it's an MVP, and what can we do to make it bigger and better? Aussie Loo. This is my very first Android application actually. Yeah, it's we're about 20,000 downloads on the applications, but just using GPS. So you open the app, there's a button where it says I'm busting. So you click on the button, it gives you all the toilets around you, and that's it. And you click on it, and you got a nice pictures, and you can just use the camera on Google View to check actually where you are is actually in front of the toilet or not. And so it was basic.
It's been very positive, very positive. We've had a huge spike in terms of people just wanting to test the technology out, which is normally the first real barrier you have. You might have all this cool tech, but until people are starting to use it and integrate it with their apps, you don't even really know how successful you're going to be. And so we do have a number of people right now live testing it, and the range of ideas that they come up with, it's how applicable it is to ideas we didn't even think about before. It's been brilliant, from universities to some of the health and safety ideas people have told to us. It's brilliant. And I think also in terms of how successful it's been, we're starting to be present to more sophisticated clients as time goes on, which is exciting. So it's forever progressing.
It's always very good to be in front of people and just realize that you haven't thought about all the applications, all the opportunities that our technology can be used on. And brand agencies, marketing agencies, you talk about universities, so all these kind of people say, oh, can you do that and that? Oh, can I just send notifications to my students or my users, my mobile users, my clients? Hey, you can do that, oh, that's amazing. And so for a young startup, just getting that validation is just a big wall for us. And as I said, we're just not even 1 year old startup, and we are having discussions. We're getting interest from people like from general managers, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna tell the names, but we got quite a few wins just being in their office and presenting, pitching the idea and demo the stuff, and get them saying that. Get back to you saying, we're quite impressed with the technology, we'd like to run a trial. That's a big thing for us.
There was a moment last Friday, in fact, after one of these major presentations that we had to potentially a very large client, and we're like, a year ago, did we think we'd be at this place? Where we're presenting to these people, and it hasn't been us setting up these meetings. People have set these meetings up on behalf of Geomoby because they know of us and they know that their clients would be interested in it. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, because it's not only a mobile app, it's just a technology that can be used by any developer, any agencies, any businesses, pretty much anyone who wants that technology or understand how to work with that. So it's highly scalable because we're targeting a huge, massive market, and then we had hard times during the Founder Institute to explain, because we have to narrow down really to really understand the core of the business. What's your target market? So my target market, pretty much everyone having an app who wanted to build an app, and it's very hard to quantify that. So it's highly scalable because the market is huge. So we're in the location-based services, location-based market context where computing is CAC, so all the markets. So it's multi-billion dollars. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people. So that's the first reason why it's scalable is because of the nature of the technology. Secondly, it's because it's really easy to implement. It's quite cheap. So we're solving not only a problem, a technical, very, very hard technical problem, but also will make it very, very affordable to everyone.
Yeah, it has global reach, and we can see this through the growth of our competitors, which is a good thing for us because it shows that there is a market, there is strong demand for this type of technology, and so we're just very focused on how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors to show that our product is more advantageous for the businesses. It's quite exciting, and it grows rather quickly because most of our technology is in the cloud, and as Chris said, it's very simple to implement.
Yeah, it's been
Interesting.
It's been nice. Yeah, it's been quite a journey for us when getting investment and investors. So, again, I'm going to tell about the story about the Founder Institute. So the Founder Institute just gives you all the keys to be able to pitch investors and angels right after the 4 months program. But it's done it's applicable more for US residents or US startups. Here, the investment market is totally different, and in Australia, and especially in Perth.
Yeah.
So Perth is a fantastic ecosystem to run pilot, but to get access to seed funds or a little bit of angel round or something like that, it gets tricky. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reason for that. That they're still the internet bubble online.
They're tech shy.
Yeah, exactly. They invested a lot in mining industry, not really in technology startup. We haven't had any major success here. Well, there are a few guys actually that made it but not enough for investors to look at that. So there's a gap in the market, but specifically for startups like us, when we're looking for 50, 100k, a bit more than that, just to hire new staff, show that actually you can execute it, and blah blah blah. So we reach a point now, or we're looking for a little bit of more money because we already done MVP validations. We've got clients, we've got opportunities coming up. We're signing licenses at the moment. We're in active discussions to sign too, actually. So we're looking for investors. It's a seed round. We've got a plan for a year and a half, really, with different tranches. We've got corporate advisors, the Patterson Securities. That's a cool story. We can tell that, but they're doing a pretty good job. They're helping with the investment presentations, some marketing stuff, but also all the capital structure, company valuation. So we've got all these documents sorted, and we'll be actually sending a few emails in the next couple of days.
I guess we're still technically doing that. We're bootstrapping the whole process. Our own money, our own savings has all gone into this idea, and we've tried to take on some ad hoc work, some tech support, a little bit of mobile development on the side to pay ourselves, especially over the Christmas break, which is rather expensive. So yeah, we've bootstrapped. Our technology is rather cost effective, and so it's been quite easy to get to an MVP, go to presentations, show the strength of the tech whilst constantly adding features to it. But yeah, we're starting to hit that wall where the available bandwidth we have in terms of resourcing, especially, is quite labour intensive on the back end work. We're hitting that wall, and hence investment is what will take us to the next level. I mean, we'll reach that level regardless of investment or not. It's the timing of it, which is probably the most important factor for us.
I think the pressure we have at the moment is the financial pressure, really. I mean, we're looking for a couple of reasons. One, we like sushis. It's very cheap, and it's been months and months we're eating sushis every on lunchtime.
I learned how to cook in the past year purely to save money. So, there are some benefits of it.
We had to borrow a bit of money too. We're not going out very often. And we've got when you are a good partner, we have to thank our partner very much for that, for the support, because it's hard for them. And I've got a kid, so it's quite hard to get to lead that kind of situation. So it's been almost a year, right? We haven't get any decent salary. It's just because we believe so much in that product, and then the fact that we can execute it, that we're ready to get that sacrifices. The second is actually we both have technical skills, and so we don't have to hire technical guys. And then
that's been beneficial
in the development cost a lot. So I think we've calculated that's just the time we spend on that already. We've reached something like 200k in terms of development, and not only development, more marketing, lawyers, legal, because we got a patent on the technology, so we had to pay the IP lawyers, we had to pay the accountants, we had to pay a lot of different things, plus the time, our own time spent on
even bootstrapping is quite an expensive process, especially in terms of opportunity cost. So a lot of work has gone into it, and which is why we're such strong believers in the product, because you reach that point where you go, is this a bad idea or not? And you assess everything. You assess your founders, you assess the partnerships you've got, you assess everything. And then you've got to sit there and you go, do I fork off from this path and do something different, or come back to it later? And we decided, you know what, this has got legs. We're getting more interest as time goes on. We've got clients lined up now, and so we're glad, I think, that we both stuck through it. Although it hasn't been particularly easy.
It's running a startup is about reducing any type of friction. It could be the financial frictions, but also your personal type of friction. So you have to really, that's great, because you have to prioritize. We have to be very, very organized, test it, and you test, you validate. If it doesn't work, just push it back and do something else very, very, very quickly. So we're using like kind of a lean startup approach with our clients. We both actually Scrum Masters, so we know how to develop quickly and how all this works to make sure to very, very focus on what's going to work and what is really important for us and what's going to make we'll get some contracts to get some excitement from investors, but also from our potential clients.
We tell the businesses, we want your brutal feedback. Being nice to us and not telling us exactly what's going through your mind, your honest truth, is not really helpful, because it doesn't help us shift on the priorities that we need. And we won't always do what the businesses tell us, but if they give us their raw opinion, it's so much more valuable, because we can line that up in our endless list of to-do and how we want to pivot or shift, or even if we have to. So feedback's very important.
Well, we've been very transparent as well. So in front of them, this is what we have, this is how it works, this is what we can do for you, this is what we don't have, but we're happy actually to work something with you, because the idea is to create a relationship with the clients. If you're already transparent, they will tell you something about your technology. They will just open a little bit and say, all right, so can you do that? Or can I pay you guys to implement this feature because this is something I want? So this is where the type of relationship we want to have with our clients in type of lean startup think approach. It's a software patent, so it's a bit different than actually proper hardware. So what we're trying to do here is we've got an IP. This is our IP, is our technology. So it's part of the business. It's really part of the value of the company. We've got another one coming up. We can talk. It's about predictive analytics, but we wanted to have this type of protection. We talk a lot about the lawyers. So it's a provisional patent. So we covered worldwide for 12 months, but we're going to hit I think it's July. In July, we'll have to make a decision of whether or not to apply it in different countries. This is where actually the big decision is, not before that. So we're working now to understand where we stand compared to our competitors. Now we know that we've got a pretty cool tech, and no one else can do as well as us. So whether or not we don't really want to use that app to get money. We just want to product our technology and to say, all right, this technology is pretty unique. There's good performance, is highly reliable, and is under a patent. So there's a big value in that. I don't know where we're going with that patent, but it's just to say, for us, it's been good to say, all right, we get a cool tag. There's no such patent at the moment. There's people working on that, but we're protected. So if investors ask, for instance, look at this,
it's quite valuable for them.
There's a lot of controversy on the internet about software patents. So software patent is a bit like weed, because you can always find actually bypasses and a workaround or something like that. But I think it's still worth it just to test in the patent world, just where you are. If you really think you have a patentable technology, I think it's worth exploring. One of the huge companies like Apple, they make their money actually on that on the patents and on the applications. They don't even have the technology to actually put the ID, and they patent the ID, and so there's a reason for that. So we received good advice, I think. Well, it's just it's not doesn't cost a lot. It's a few thousand. Well, when you don't have any money, yeah, it's just a big hole in your budget. But at the end of the day, it's not that much, and I think it's worth getting through that process.
I think in summary, it's a necessary evil. I don't think anyone particularly likes the idea of patents because you're restricting information and the application of that information, which is never good. Competition is the best thing for everyone, but
I think without a patent, we're competitive enough actually not to be too much worried by our competitors. This is it. So we got a patent, but we do believe that we have enough.
It's another arrow in our quiver, and that we use that for investment. So it is beneficial. Not enough to really pay ourselves just yet. So
get clients. We're at the moment trying to close some deals for license, like several year license. So it will definitely pay off.
Yeah, we've crossed that threshold from it being nothing to a trickle, and that trickle actually increases the valuation of our company significantly because now we can prove that people not only are interested, but they've gone all the way through and released apps on the App Store, for example. So that's quite exciting. Once that trickle becomes a stream, then we'll be even more happier. But until then, I think we're trying to be just a little bit.
It's really part of the execution of that plan. Really, we've got two different types of revenue model. Or any developers can go to the website, sign up, grab the SDK, and you pay a monthly fee. It depends on how large will be the applications. But the second revenue model, and this is where actually we think where we get a good chance to get big contracts, is the licensing model. It's to be in front of large retail or big enterprise or an ISP provider or whatever it is, and try to get a license for a couple of years. And it's going to be like tens of thousands of dollars plus the support fee. This is what we want to push. So the first stage will have been actually to test the product with real developers, and that's what we do with Bastage, for instance, or the users. We've got about 60 registered users at the moment, and we've got a digital agency that releases the app using our tech. So we've got a few guys who've been working with to get feedback. We receive feedback, we tweak our SDK, and now we're at the point where we're talking to licenses or people interested to talk about the licensing agreement, and that's big stuff for us. So we're not getting paid now, but we do believe that it's going to be huge. For 2014, it's going to be a big year for us. I will say, getting the investment first to our new staff, and something I will have to highlight is actually we haven't done any sort of marketing or PR so far. So all the clients we're having is actually people talking about us, and a few press coverage, but not that much, right? For instance, we got this massive US-based mobile SDK marketplace because one of their users talked about what the partnership directors talk about us and say, well, it would be cool to have these guys part of this, and he contacted us. Our corporate advisors is through I think one article in the Western Australian. There's only one. We haven't pushed anything.
They contacted us.
Yeah,
it's quite good.
So we're really at the point where we know that we can scale. We know exactly where we're going to invest that money. We've been looking at that kind of plan for quite a few months.
We've got a nice feature roadmap, and it's annoying for us because we know the things we want to implement over the next few months. And it's like I said before, in terms of increasing our bandwidth, investment does that for us. We want to target over East, for example. We've got a couple of unannounced features that we really want to push quite quickly. We've got the iBeacon support coming for iOS. It's already on Android. So these things, they're coming hard and fast. And if we have a little bit more bandwidth, we'll deliver even quicker.
I think it's the few people we talk to, the few sophisticated companies we're talking to, they want to run a trial. Suddenly we come from two guys working behind their computer in Space Cube in a small table to no, we're going to implement your technology and you better make it
deliver.
Working. Yeah, so this is scary for us. We're confident in our technology. It's just that now we've reached another stage, right? This is a big level, so it's quite exciting. But I think like every time something is exciting, it's quite challenging. It's quite scary too.
Yeah.
So
and they don't want to implement anything on a small scale, so we're getting more of these developers on board and more of these businesses on board with the smaller packaging, and that's cool. We can handle that, and there's a little bit of support involved. But when some of these larger clients we've chatted to recently, and they're like, oh, in March we want you to run this trial, for example, and we're like, we're trying to find out exactly how we fit in that picture that they've got and the amount of work required for that as really a team of two. So
it gives us deadlines, and we're pushing it. We've got a time frame. We know the product development and where we're going with our marketing planning, all the stuff. But now the clients say, all right, this is our deadline. I want this delivered this day.
Yep.
And it's quite scary too.
It's less a question of delivering, it's more how much sleep are we going to have to sacrifice.
And that's the reason why we know that we need some more resources. So if we have to do it by ourselves, we'll probably go sleep in Space Cube for the next couple of months and have to work day and night. As I said, we got a pretty unique idea. I'm not saying actually there's no other startups, but what we've seen so far is people are maybe focusing too much on indoor, not too much, but they're focusing on indoor positioning or indoor geofencing, or there is outdoor only, and we are just bridging the gap between the two of them. So we've got, historically, geofencing has been there for quite a few years, right? But they were using GSM tower triangulations, not with an application, right? So you get poor accuracy outdoor, like 500 to 600 meters, like probably some kilometer in non-urban areas, and indoor it wasn't working. What we've done about putting actually this geofencing inside the applications, and again, we're not using the geofencing SDK provided by iOS and Android because they're not performing well. We've got better performances, more reliable. We'll just build our own geofencing algorithm. It was just to separate one part is in the cloud, one part in there, and more importantly, we're collecting data. And all these analytics help us to better target the message you want to send to the users. So all these components all together makes us quite unique. So we got big competitors, in the US, for instance, but they're not doing what we're doing.
We feel that we're differentiated our product enough that even direct competition is fine by us, because it's difficult for any business to completely corner a market, and that's why we're really targeting Australia, for example, because it really hasn't taken off here, and yet the growth of the IT industry is astronomical. So we're well suited. So if anything, it's going to be more of a case of us going over there to combat them and trying to attack their homeland, try and get in. So we're not shy of competition. I think our only real concern at all would be larger companies like Google and Apple, for example, and what technologies they may bring out in the future, because quite often some of your unique features start to be bundled as part of their operating system, and we're protected against a lot of that because we don't just have one or two features that differentiate us. We've got a variety of. We have a unique platform and a rules engine, but we're very aware of what's going on in the IT sphere. So we're just we're paying a lot of attention.
We're monitoring a lot of our competitors. So sure, there's some startups trying to do exactly the same. We're using Google Alerts with keywords. So every single day I'm receiving stuff, but I haven't been able to receive something that exactly and put easy indoor, outdoor geofencing on real time. Just 3 or 4 keywords and wait. I think you're gonna wait for quite a while, unless we do some press coverage.
It's just very young. I think that's the only drawback to it. It's quite young. You don't have the collection and all the links between all the separate business entities. Founders Institute, Space Cube especially, steps in the right direction to foster this community. But because Perth is such a strong focus on the mining and your primary resources, it's taken a lot of focus and taken a lot of skills away from IT, where at the same time with the growth of any sector, IT also grows. But because they're growing so rapidly, it's reducing all the resources from everywhere else. So it's quite young, but it's still vibrant and it's exciting. Like Perth is not a big place, so I don't think it'd be too hard for the community to come together even more than it already is.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, the first things you can notice here is where I think the startup ecosystem is growing faster here than actually on the East Coast, which is pretty good. Look at SpaceCube, it's only a year and a half, and there are hundreds of different members here. They just opened another space here, and they've got big plans for 2040. So that's a massive indicator that actually there's something's happening here in Perth, and there's a lot of young, brilliant, smart people. Actually, they've got ideas and they want to push that. And I think not only in Perth, but in Australia in general, you have to diversify a little bit. Not actually, well, Western Australia is actually I think the richest state, and they're feeding actually the other states. So I read an article, I might be wrong on that, but I read an article.
Like to believe that.
And but from the mining industries, from the soil, but we've got good people, and we can bring actually this a little bit of money or more employment, more employment through technologies, getting investors outside outside Australia, create value in Australia, not relying only on the mining industries and LNG and stuff. And that's what's happening here in Perth. Is actually because the startup community is so young that we don't have trust we need from the investors. But again, there's something more than that, the government. There's absolutely nothing from the government. The commercialization Australia, that's great, really competitive. There's OZAP awards coming, but apart of that, there's any grants? There's any other stuff? I mean, I think look at Hong Kong, for instance, Singapore, maybe even India. You can always get when there are programs from the government that gives actually away some money.
Yeah.
Not that much, just enough to go to the point where you get your MVP.
Yeah. Really fosters the research and development, whereas here it's you do it on your own.
You got R&D incentive, so if you don't know, just go through that, it's great. We've got a commercialization Australia, OZAP awards, of course. You got a smart startup as well that do quite a few things. But yeah, the competitions now, and now we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of startups. So it needs to come from investment in Australia, not in Australia, I don't know, but also for a government program or something. I could say, all right, now we're going to push a little bit the startup scenes, and we're going to help actually our young entrepreneurs to grow their business.